Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Talk to Ty, real people, real talk, real life. I am your host Tatiana Monet, and I first want to wish everybody a really good, successful, and productive week coming up this week, and I hope that this past week has been that for you as well. This episode is going to be about dealing with a bad breakup. I know all too well about that because I left a relationship and it ended in 2022, in the fall of 2022, about 30 days after my dad passed away. And that's not an ideal time to deal with something like that, because you should expect to be busy dealing with grief, the loss of a loved one, specifically a parent. I didn't have that luxury. When people decide to leave your life, you don't have any control over the timing of it or how it's done. You don't have any control over that person. All you can do is manipulate your part in it as far as your response and how you recover from there. And because I was not in a position where I was focused on anything else except my dad, not only was it not something that I was anticipating, like whether you have rough patches or, dry spells, whatever you want to call them, or you're not in alignment with your significant other at all, it's still not something that you anticipate dealing with when you have such a heavy load to carry already. And let me paint the picture for you. I'm down here in Atlanta away from most of my immediate family. Like I do have, aunts, cousins, my brother. It's still a very alone feeling because it's not like I have a house full of roommates, or, it's not like anyone that I normally can just break with is in the house with me. They're either a phone call or some type of drive away. And when you are in a state of depression like that, when you're completely checked out and disconnected from everything, all of your norms and values, your routines, any bit that you have saved, it would be to get nothing but love and support from your village for however long you need it, not for 30 days. So, and then 30 days later, which I can highlight in another episode when I talk about friendships and how there's layers to it and phases of it. Yeah. But you wouldn't expect that 30 days after your dad passed, you end a relationship, and then 30 days after that, a friendship that you've had for a decade also dissipates because both individuals who were not deceased chose to leave. So more specifically about my relationship, I haven't had time. I'm not going to say that. Me being able to unpack all of that has, in a sense, been stunted because grieving the loss of my father will always come first. I only have one dad, and that will always take more focus and attention because that's life changing. People come and go in relationships and stuff like that, but I'm gonna always have that man's DNA. That's where my mind should be focused at, not, someone that I was dating for half a decade decided to just disappear on me, regardless of whatever their reasons were. It's like, that can only make sense to you. And so to bring it home, dealing with a bad relationship on top of dealing with something catastrophic like the death of someone, it is a period of time for me when it first happened where it was one of the lowest times of my life. And that low point did not feel safe. It was not something that I did not take it well, because I already had enough on my plate, and not having the right answers, not having the right, I don't even want to, when I say the right answers to the questions that I had, like, where you at, dude? Like, you don't ghost nobody while they're grieving, the death of an immediate family member. Like, that's not the time you ghost people. And granted, I know sometimes people deal with grief in other ways, but just being a physical presence to someone can be enough. You don't have to, you can't solve what a person lost. You can't solve that. And you can't replace that. But you just showing up, you could be a mute. Your presence is a present. I didn't have that. So, from the people that I intended to get it from. But especially in a relationship, like when you lose a anchor male figure in your life, and now another male figure in your life that has some significance, some weight, chooses to leave. Man, I was livid. I was livid. That's one aspect of how I dealt with it. I was livid. And that showed up in different ways for me. Outside of the fact that I was in a state of grief, which debilitated me mentally, I also shut down situationally. Thankfully, I had the space and opportunity to have all that breaking being done, because I left my job at the time, and I had another job lined up, but I decided to put off starting that job to give myself a little bit more time to grieve. Like, I took 2 months off, basically. And in that 2-month period, after finding out my dad passed, and then it's like halfway into this, my relationship is like kaput. I'm like, yo, I hate him. I hate him. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Granted, I'm not gonna use profanity either, not just because my mom will get me, even though I'm an adult, but also, on platforms and stuff like that, you want your content to be out there. But yeah, being livid is a subtle statement for what I want to say. Me having, and I know some people disagree with the word hate. I don't disagree with that word. I know that what you can do with any emotion is something that can create certain outcomes that may be for you or against you. It's just what you do with those emotions. When you look up the definition of hate, it's extreme dislike. I had extreme dislike for this man, and because my feelings were hurt, and I had disappointment and abandonment issues and a sense of no security. As a woman, what you want to be able to do in any relationship that you're in, whether it's with a family member or, a significant other, you want to feel safe. Not only because physically most women, need that type of protection, but also because you want to be able to be okay with being vulnerable without expecting certain types of damage coming back to you. And looking back at that situation, I didn't have that. It's like I was open as I don't know what. My daddy dead. My dude left me, and I'm not saying all of this to sound like no victim or to sound pitiful. This is what happened to me. This is that. Like, normally you can break up with somebody, and that was my dog yelping. Yeah, that's her. I told y'all this, that y'all gonna be hearing her or seeing her if you're tuning in on YouTube. So just ignore Layla. But yeah, to bring all of that back in, because I don't want to ramble or go off on a tangent, because I do want to get this out there, because I'm sure a lot of people can relate to being left or unseen in their relationship. especially when other things are going on in life. And when you don't have answers and when you don't have closure, it can bother you. Now, if I wasn't going through the other things that I was going through, I might have handled it differently. I might have actually had time to process it and to, I don't want to say shrug it off like it didn't mean anything, because it really did. Like, you don't, when you spend that much time with someone, you know, like when you working together, when you like making moves together and stuff, and y'all got all these habits and you celebrating things together, you got to unlearn and disconnect from all of that. And that's not a clean fill soup thing all the time for some people, especially a empath like me. I'm a very passionate person, a caring and loving individual. Granted, like, you know, yeah, everybody got their other sides to them and stuff like that, but I'm talking about like how I am as a mate. I am very nurturing and supportive, and I want to be there. If I'm not able to be in my own relationship, like as far as showing up and activating my role, what am I here for? And if you're not gonna be on the same page as that, and you're not doing it either like you should, what are you here for? But at the very least, having the decency to say something, even if this was something that was planned or whatever, the timing was terrible. There's no way around that. So to circle back to dealing with it, had a lot of anger. And because I was also going through something else with grieving my parent, I was depressed. I was not a happy person, regardless of what anyone may have seen. And it's not like I put on a front. It's just, I was a shell. So I don't really know what I was giving off. And that's real talk. Like, I don't know what I was giving off. And I'm okay with that, because I can control that much. I can't control nothing else, obviously. So it was a very dark and depressing and low time, because you have, when you are left like that in a relationship, it can make you look at you sometimes. Some people aren't built like that. Good for you. That's not how I was in that moment. And when I say moment, I'm not talking about one instance. I'm talking about for months. This is how I was, and it rested in my subconscious more than anything, outside of like certain actions and stuff. But like when something sits in your subconscious, it's like even your sleep ain't safe. You know what I mean? Even your downtime, when your mind is just roaming. Yeah. So I did not do much of anything for a few months. And I'm thankful that I had a village of people at the time to really, that were in person, that were showing up. Like, you're not going to be by yourself today. Get up. I know you didn't eat for the past couple of days. I know you didn't sleep. You know, I know you didn't, you know, take care of yourself. Like, I'm going to sit here while you get in the shower. I'm going to sit here while you comb your hair. Like, you're going to do something. You're going to cut lights on. You're going to open up these drapes. You're going to breathe again. You're going to be a human. You've had time to be in this dark place as needed. Now you need to start the recovery part of it, because this is now starting to kill you. Like, you're taken away from your body now. You're taken away from your health. You're taken away from your sanity. And that's when it's not okay. I should have never allowed an individual to have that much of an impact on me based on a choice that they made. I can say that now. It doesn't mean that you stop caring for a person. Like, I still genuinely, like, when I love a person, I love them. That's not a conditional thing for me. It's not. Like, it shouldn't be conditional. And just because you love someone, it doesn't mean that you act on it. Obviously, buddy left. And I know sometimes people do things out of love too, and I'm not sitting here making excuses for nobody. Like I told y'all in a previous episode, I am a very discerning, thought-provoking individual where I don't just look at things from one way. I'm not wired like that. So even in the midst of all that confusion, a part of me also thought, because when you're dating a certain type of person and you know things about their lifestyle and how they are and what they've been through, not that it excuses what happens to you, but when you understand, you either move differently or you process it differently, meaning you consider those things, those elements, because they're there for a reason. And so me knowing what I know about him and his situation and his life, I was like, well, maybe he's doing this in a weird way to protect me. Kind of like, okay, I'm a Twilight fan, y'all. Okay, I don't care, call it what you want. And I am team Edward because Jacob, if you know the backstory, you know that Jacob, the whole time, it was really about him being with Bella and Edward's daughter. So it ain't about team Edward or team Jacob. So y'all bought into that whole, propaganda that they were trying to do for y'all, and y'all, yeah. Anyway, so it's Edward. It's gonna always and forever be Edward. But in New Moon, that movie, and I read the books too. That's what we did in high school. Yeah, we did that. We were the people who read the books and sometimes brought the books to the show. That's what in Chicago, we don't call it the movies, we call it the show. And we look at like, oh, they didn't touch on this chapter, da da da. Like, yeah, that's how me and my friends and my cousins were. Anyway, so in New Moon, something happened with Edward and Bella, because y'all need to go watch it. And because of Edward's background, because of his lifestyle, he was like, the best thing that I could do to make sure that she's safe and so that nothing in my life adversely affects hers, I need to leave her alone. And he did that. He up and left. And how he did it was not cool. It was not okay. So, because baby girl collapsed in the forest. Like, she was having heart palpitations and all of that. And she collapsed in the forest and just laid there. Like, her daddy had conducted a full police search. They had people looking for her, and that's when somebody from Jacob's crew ended up finding her. But for several hours, like, it was daylight when he dumped her, and she wasn't found until blue black night. So yeah, and I can relate to that feeling. Dang, I don't like that, but I had to go through it for whatever reason. Only the good Lord knows. I had to go through it, and that type of pain is very uncomfortable, and it is draining. It can create a very amplified state of reactivity for people. I had it. I lost it, and I lost it in a way of sadness more so than anger. Like, even though I was livid, what dominated me more was sadness. And I'm still hurt. Like, I'm still repairing myself. And that's one element that I do want to share with you guys before I keep going on, that is because I was more so focused on grieving my parent, the grief of the loss of my relationship took a back seat. It had to, because a part of my identity was gone, like, off the strength of one person. So part of me didn't know who I was. Like, and some people would say you shouldn't put that much stock into your relatives and stuff like that, but that ain't me. That ain't me. Anybody, like I said, anybody that I genuinely love, they're a part of me. It's not to say that I'm only made up of them. No, But part of me is, I believe that we are all connected to stuff. Like, besides God, we are connected in everything that we touch, that we pour into, that we manifest in. That's a connection. It's a reason why, like how I told y'all, when stuff would be wrong with me, my daddy would call me from Chicago and be like, is something wrong? You all right? My chest hurt. It ain't a regular chest pain. It's something that sit with you. Or when something is wrong with one of your kids and you calling them or your spouse or whatever, like how I told you, I'd be watching these murder shows and stuff and people be like, I knew something was wrong. Your instinct, your intuition, that's real. That don't change just because somebody ain't your blood, especially when y'all building together or you thought you were. So it sucks, man. First of all, nobody likes being dumped. But let me just make this clear. At least you had the privilege, and I don't even want to say privilege, my bad. At least someone gave you the common courtesy to tell you that it's over. I didn't get that. I literally went from, okay, the last time I see this person is the beginning of October and I'm walking him to his car and we're talking about tires. He's like, oh yeah, like, I'm finna get you some new tires because look at the tread pattern on your tires. I'm like, oh, okay. To, I don't hear from you. Definition of kicking a horse while it's down. I'm not saying people don't go through what they go through. I'm not saying that sometimes when someone in your life that's close to you goes through something, it doesn't produce any triggers for you or whatever the word you want to insert there. I'm not saying those things because it happens. But dang, bro, like you could have said something. You could have said something. And this is not a venting session at all. It's not. I've already done that with my therapist. It's an ongoing thing because like I said, now I can really have more time to focus on grieving the transition of no longer being in a relationship because I've reached a certain level of grieving the loss of my dad's passing, where now I could start unpacking those feelings more and being more intentional about incorporating that healing process in my daily life. But when you're dealing with a bad breakup as an adult, because it shows up, differently in high school, like with your first love and stuff like that crushes your world, you know what I mean? But there's still some innocence to that. Some aspects of life for most people haven't hit you like that yet. You know what I mean? Like y'all still got the sneak in you. And what I mean by that is like y'all had to sneak to hang out with each other, get permission, be on the phone, like all of those things, When you're an adult, you don't have those limitations. It's the limitations that are set forth by the two of you, what you allow to penetrate into your relationship. So if you already have stuff going on that wasn't resolved, and then something like that happens where the person just walks out on you, walks away from you, doesn't say anything. In that moment, I couldn't help but feel like I did something wrong. I know I didn't. But the human in me naturally questioned myself. Like, what, was I not a good girlfriend? Was I not like attentive enough to whatever signs were there? You name it. Not questioning my looks. That's one thing I wasn't doing. And I'm not saying that in a conceited way. I'm not conceited. But I am confident. I love who I am. Granted, it's some stuff I want to tone up on because I miss part of my old body when I was an athlete. But I do like this new body with my natural pleasantries and my thickness and stuff. Yeah. But anyway, the virtue of a woman is funny because sometimes men think that they can determine that or label that. And sometimes we let them. I'm guilty of that. Because I want what I want, like I want to be in a relationship. I want to one day get married. I want to one day have kids. I deserve that. Because I want it. I want it. Like, I see myself having this life where me and my husband on our vacations while the kids are away, and we like, F them kids. Like, I see that. I see me growing up and providing a two-parent, not growing up, see my kids growing up in a two-parent household. And it's not just because I had that and it was dope. It's also because when I really started living on my own, you know, when I moved away to go to college and I started seeing different relationship dynamics and stuff, I'm like, I knew what I wanted, I knew what I didn't want. Just because I'm out here living and I'm out here seeing what everybody else go through, that helped me define what I want. I want a relationship. I want to get wifed up. I know it takes work. I know it's not perfect. I know that once you make those connections beyond yourself, some stuff ain't about you no more. Some stuff. Get it. I get it. And I know it comes with a whole nother set of problems. I get it. The problems that I'm currently dealing with, although very uncomfortable and I know they're necessary, I don't want to deal with them. I don't want to roll over and think I'm finna ask somebody how they day, you know, how they day gonna be for, you know, for the day, and it ain't nobody there but my dog. Again, not trying to sound like a victim or woe is me, but it is a very lonely feeling, and I'm tired of feeling lonely. And one thing that I did to help me navigate through that, outside of the fact that I have the most wonderful village in the world, like, my mom is amazing. My besties, I already told them, I said, y'all are my heart. I love y'all. You know, my siblings, my aunties, like my godmom, like, y'all know who y'all are. People in my organizations that I'm really, really close with, y'all know, you know, that y'all being there for me means more than anything. And it helped me with my recovery. My recovery is not just a solo journey. It's one that requires resources. And my village is one of my resources. And let's not forget the good old man, him, GJ, basically, God and Jesus. They've been holding your girl down. And even when I didn't think I had strength, the fact that that even if I checked out in some ways, I didn't destroy my whole life. That is also a testament to the strength that I felt like came through all of my loved ones that passed away. Primarily my dad, because that man is the strongest man I've ever known. And I'm not biased on that. What I know of my dad and what he been through before his untimely passing, he is the strongest man I know. And no one can tell me otherwise. But even still, sometimes on my bad days, sometimes that still don't seem like enough. And so what I was saying before was what I've been starting to do lately is creating things that are familiar around me and putting myself out there to interact with people more and not be such a hermit, because I was a hermit in more ways than one. Like, I wouldn't leave the house. I wasn't really talking to nobody like that. And I wasn't doing anything. Like, even in my house, I wasn't doing anything. Like, not cleaning. Like, granted, I didn't create no mess because I wasn't doing nothing. But now, like, I joined this Facebook group for women, for them to meet up and hang out. I've joined another group that is for creatives and stuff like that, you know, just so that I could keep those juices flowing in my mind so it can move out through my hands and through my speech. Writing things down, you know, so that things aren't sitting in my head. Using my prayer closet. I can't reiterate that enough. I know I spoke on that in previous episodes. I had to do something I could control, because I couldn't control what someone did to me or how they did it to me, but I could control how I'm taking it and let's just put this on the floor here. I made some mistakes as well during my grieving process. I don't even want to say some. I made a mistake during my grieving process, right after my relationship. Not right after, but it was some time after, like either 30 or 60 days after my relationship ended. And I was in a very vulnerable point, and I made a decision that I'm like, oh Lord, I gotta pray my way out of this one. Do I regret it? I'm still on the fence about the word regret, because some people think you should never do anything in life that you're going to regret. Yeah, good luck with that. You're a human being for a reason. The Lord gave us free will. Some people say, you know, if you did something that you regret, then how am I trying to say this? Some people feel like if you do something that you regret, did you really like why would you do it anyway if you feel like you were going to regret it? You've done it, so there's nothing to regret. And sometimes I have to really just sit with the definition of a word so I can really wrap my mind around it. That's what I do with the word forgiveness. I'm still sitting with that word, because the textbook definition of forgiveness or for regret is completely different than the common usage of it. Like how we apply it in our lives is completely different. It's more of an action that translates over time, like a pattern of behavior. You know what I mean? Something that is like the puppeteer of your situations. So, but I say that to say no one is perfect. Even when something is done to you that's unfathomable and unfair, it can still motivate you, because I'm the master of my fate and I'm the captain of my soul. You know, people don't make you do things. You decide to do them, but you can be influenced. And my level of vulnerability made me very impressionable and skewed my judgment and put myself in a situation to have even more hurt, which deepened the grief and the loss and the depression and created a setback in my healing. And that's something that I am gracious enough to love myself through and heal myself through. But it is an ongoing thing. Now, some people will say, should that have happened? Should you have allowed someone to have that much control over your influence, over you or your life, to where you are motivated to do something that works against you, or to have a false belief in something that if you really examined it with your right mind, you wouldn't have partaken in it? So everybody out here just doing the right thing all the time. Everybody out here always doing every necessary thing that's right for themselves all the time. Everybody has so much self-control over every single thing that they do that nothing they do is bad or wrong or unfavorable. Let me read your book. Let me figure out how you did it. And that's where I'm with that right now. That's where I am with it. So me making a mistake, me shutting down, me having a lot of anger, me honestly, I'm honest, me also, that's the word that I was looking to use, not feeling safe around men. All those things were happening because I can't trust this guy with my heart. You know what I mean? I don't have a certain type of protection over my life no more. And you feel so exposed in a bad way. You feel like an easy target. And at one point I was like, maybe me just feeling special to someone else is not something in the cards for me right now. And in a way, that was right. Because if a person is willing to hurt you and they are willing to do the one thing you asked them to never do, and they have no rhyme or reason for it that they gave you, they did not justify it, you have no answers, how could you not feel that way? I felt that way. And that's just because of everything in my life and how I arrived in that moment at that time. That's where my mind went. That's where my feelings went. It made me feel closed off and broken, damaged, jaded. Now, did I sit here and turn that bitterness onto other people? No. That's not for them. Some people can't do that. Did it make me resent all men? No. No resentment, but there's a lack of confidence in how you come through. And that's something for me to work on. What I don't want is for men to think, and I'm not saying this like just for me, I'm talking about my position as a woman. Men are not supposed to make up for other men. Just like women, we're not supposed to make up for other women. If your mom hurt you, that I'm not responsible for what your mama did to you. I'm not responsible for what baby mama 1, baby mama 2, 3, 4, 5 done to you. I'm not responsible for your previous long-term relationship or your ex marriage or whatever. I'm not responsible for what none of them heifers did to you. So don't put that on me. And the audacity for people to do that throws me off. It does. And because I am a more emotional person and I'm empathetic, it messes with me. And sometimes it can cut deeper than what I even anticipated or what I'm aware of. That's why I was talking about my subconscious. Like, it sat in my subconscious, not because I wanted it to be there. It's just, that's how it is. That's how it is sometimes. Like how my dad says, it is what it is. But there's people out there that have similar experiences as me. And I wanted to put some content out there for people like me. People who did not fully bounce back from being left in a relationship when you've done nothing but show up and give it your 100%. Like, you loved hard, not suffocatingly, but you also let that individual be that individual. Like, there's a balance between accountability and just understanding that a person is who they is, and you take the good and the bad and the ugly with it, because that's how you grow together. Growth is not something that comes without pressure and pain. It happens. Just like when we women grow and we got those stretch marks, we may not feel them coming in, but we see them. There's evidence left behind of the progress. I'll say that. No one wants to feel alone or unseen in a relationship. Even if the relationship is ending, you at least want to be on the same page with that. You were on the same page when the relationship started. I don't care what anybody says. Even if something is difficult to communicate, it's still very necessary. Communication is the biggest thing that a relationship needs, even when you're dealing with a bad breakup. And a lot of times our emotions can get the best of us, where we say or do things that we don't mean. You can't always prevent that because you're still human, but you can recover from it. You can help navigate through it better, or even potentially avert it later on down the road because you've lived through it. And so now you're like, okay, when this situation pops up, I know I can handle this differently. I don't have to take that option. But sometimes when a person is repeatedly taking a certain option, that's a choice. And me realizing that a choice was made, it made me feel less valued in the relationship category. I'm not talking about the totality of my life. Now, I'm not going to give that man that much credit. I'm not. But in the relationship department, yeah, I definitely felt like, you know how you drive off the lot with a car and the value depreciates the moment you hit the lot. It's like he drove off the lot that day. And I'm still recovering from that. So I also want to let people know out there, when you're dealing with a bad relationship, you determine what is needed for you to heal, and you are on your own time with that. That's a power that you have. No one can tell you what should or shouldn't trigger you, or how long you should be sitting in something, or I don't even want to say sitting in something, healing from something. Because even like with certain parts of the body, certain things heal faster than others. Now, if you're not doing anything to promote the healing, which is why I had to correct myself before, and you're sitting in something and you're just letting it stew, letting it fester, and you're manifesting in this madness, then yeah, you have to convert this energy. You have to convert a negative into a positive, because you owe it to yourself, and no one else is going to do it for you. I had to come out of that myself and decide I am enough in a relationship. May not have been enough for him, or I may not have been enough for him to respect me enough to use his mouth and tell me what's up. Like, and let me go small tangent. Okay. I'm tired of you men saying, and I'm not sitting here saying I'm biased because I'm a heterosexual. I'm saying like period, because I hear this from men, like whether they my friends, relatives, whatever. Y'all always say that women don't want the truth. Which women are you dealing with? I think you're dealing with girls. You're dealing with girls. A real woman, don't waste my time. Tell me what is what. Give me the business so I know how I need to show up or how I need to move around. So use your mouth and speak. Like, it's almost like when I'm scolding my dog or something about something she do, and then she just hang her head and she try to like be cute or whatever. It's like you don't want to deal with the blow. You don't want to deal with the damage. You don't want to hear what I have to say. And it's just like, but you did it. No, like how? No. No, you made a cause. Now there's an effect. Deal with it. I got to deal with the fact that you did it. So why can't you just tell me? That makes no sense. Like, nah, tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. Women, we are way more forgiving than men, and what we are put through. And I'm not talking about the women who be out here doing damage. I'm not talking about y'all. I'm talking about the ones that damage is done to. Because some of y'all out here are savages, or y'all think y'all are. And it's like, no, I'm not finna brag about certain things that men do that I can do when it ain't working for me. No, I don't want all y'all badges. I like my badges over here. You keep some of your badges. But anyway, yeah. Tell the truth. Stop assuming or avoiding things. Tell somebody what's going on, because when a boundary is broken from a man's perspective, he writes you off real quick. But us women, give him another chance, or, you know, blah, blah, blah. Whether it's potential or hope or I love him, we stick it through. We have a lot more perseverance and resilience in that regard. Men, they hold their standards. They like, nope, you got, nah. They could not handle most of what they put us through, because they wired differently. So if we can handle more than you can, don't you think we can handle the truth? Just saying. Especially if we ask it for it. And sometimes we already know. We just want to hear you say it. We want you to be accountable. We want you to own up. We want you to be a man and step into your truth. Yeah. Some things ain't got to be this long, drawn out conversation. If you just put it on the floor, that's real. Come on now. What are we wasting time for? I'm trying to cook. I'm trying to get my clothes ready for work. Like, come on now. Knock it off. Stop. Sometimes you make stuff too deep. Choices. Anyway, off that tangent, dealing with a bad breakup can have long-term effects depending on the extent of that relationship and how the relationship ended. And for me, unfortunately, I put my check mark in that department. Besides the fact that I had other extenuating circumstances that I was dealing with at the same time. Before and after. It's like, yo, can't catch a break, can't come up for air. All right. God gives the toughest battles to the strongest soldiers, I guess, because I'm the one remaining in this thing. You know, it is my life, so got to kind of stick this out. The layers of dealing with something like this, when people try to compartmentalize it and only work on one category, you're getting in the way of holistic healing, like in totality, because your mind is something that's affected by this. Your situations and circumstances, like, because you done built memories with this person, so you could be driving past somewhere and that particular location makes a memory resurface, and now you're not even excited no more about that landmark. Now you either trying to avoid it, or you mad at it, or whatever, you know, or you get sad. It shows up in your behavior, whether that means doing some good things or not good things, or choosing to put yourself in park and not do anything. And it can also show up in your relationships with other people. You know, sometimes that means having your guard up more, and other times it means my wall is broken. Like, my defenses are down. You know, there's some faulty wiring. There's some, you know, damage to the foundation. And that can really mess a person up. I know it messed me up. And what I want to say to anybody out there, not just women, who have gone through something like that or worse. I'm not trying to be a cliche person, because I'm not. You have to hang in there. You have to hang in there. No, it's not fun. My nose getting stuffy. No, it's not fun. No, it's not fair. And it could be a very tumultuous process to heal through. You know, you just go through these waves of emotion. You looking at commercials and you're like, oh, hell. Or it's a certain holiday. Like, I'm a Valentine's Day person. I'm from Chicago. We celebrate Valentine's Day and Sweetest Day. So what? And it ain't even just like, oh, it's this one day for the card companies to do what. Yeah, okay, whatever. You probably, until when you really start having Valentine's Day experience, you're going to appreciate it. So shut up. I got to date myself. Not that I don't have a problem with that, because when I'm not in a relationship, I do date myself. But when you want to love on somebody else, you have it to give, because you have something to spare from what you've given yourself, and you just can't get it, it can put a bad taste in your mouth and make it difficult for you to get out there again when it's the right time, of course. I say that to say, I live in Atlanta. Atlanta has a really the dating pool in Atlanta for a heterosexual woman, especially a black woman, is it's jacked up. I was trying to be subtle and I can't hold it back. It's jacked up. I have people who used to live in Atlanta and never lived in Atlanta, but examine the culture and everything, and they all come. And then for those of us that's still here, transplants or not, everybody's saying the same thing. Like, now you found your husband or your mate or whatever in Atlanta, congrats to you. You took another one out of the pool. So now me, who walking around the pool, you know, I'm even going into the no dive zone. Like, I was doing some research, right? And studies show that, contrary to our belief, and I'm not talking about college campuses, because me going to Clark Atlanta, the ratio, but by the time I graduated, was about 27-1. 27 women to 1 dude. Good God almighty. Now, Atlanta is definitely bigger than CAU. So after the research that I did, it shows that it's almost 1-to-1 in Atlanta, the ratio for men to women. It's like 49 point something percent men compared to, you know, the other 51 point whatever percent for women. So it's almost 1-to-1. Okay. Let me tell you why that ratio is not applicable to the dating scene in Atlanta for heterosexual women, especially those of color. If you take that amount of men, being that Atlanta is the city that it is, you could probably cut that in half, because if he's gay or bisexual and you prefer not to have ever dated a gay or bisexual man, now the pickings are slimming out. Okay, so you take that, let's just say 50%, cut that in half, you got 25%. Because Atlanta is a cesspool for the gay community. Granted, I have a lot of gay friends. They're like family to me. I love them dearly. I have nothing against the gay community. I'm not dating in the gay community. So I'm talking about what's left over from that. Then you have to talk about who in a relationship. Cut that in half. Okay. So then you got to talk about who was born a man. I have every right to want to procreate and have kids. So if you were not born a man, I'm not marrying you. If you were gay or are bisexual, I'm not marrying you. I'm not dating you. All right. What does that leave? And I'm not saying that in a funny way where there's nobody left, but I'm literally saying what is left from that, right? So you're single. Whether you were married or not before, you're single now. You're single. You are not gay. You were born a man. And let me also throw this in here too. You didn't have a gay, intentional, whether you were inebriated or not, you did not have an intentional gay sexual experience. I have to put that in there as well, because some men have tried certain things like pegging and letting men do stuff to them, and they're like, oh, I'm not gay. I don't want you neither. And it's not because, see, and I want to say this before people try to read. There's a difference between discrimination and preference. I'm not judging anyone. I'm talking about the preferences for Tatiana. Those are things elements to a man and his actions that are not in alignment with what I want, because I'm not showing up that way. Don't they say you got to be equally yoked to a certain extent, right? So I'm not gay. I was born a female and I'm still remaining as a female, and I don't identify with any type of sexual encounter with women, none of that. I want someone of the same likeness as me. I want us to come from a similar cloth. And that's for me. Period. So when you subtract all of those variables from that 50%, you now have to factor in other things. Is he living a life where he is so closely intertwined with his baby mama? Because everybody fertile in Atlanta. Well, I'm just going to put it out there. For me to be 31 with no kids, I'm going to be 32 in a couple weeks. For me to be 31 with no kids, never married, I'm a unicorn. I'm a unicorn. On top of the fact that I have my own foundation. Like, I have my own place to stay. I don't got nobody shacking up with me or depending on me. I have my own vehicle. Granted, okay, thank you, Marta, but I have my own vehicle. I am a very self-sufficient person. So I'm not out here looking for no sponsor. I'm not this damsel, quote unquote, in distress that won't, buddy to buy me everything, because when he decide to disappear, you're gonna have to look for a new sponsor. Nah, I want to be able to be okay by myself, and anything that comes to me is an added blessing. That part. So when you looking at what's left, does he have those unhealthy ties? Does he have an overbearing mom that inserts herself into his relationship, so now that partly governs your relationship? Yeah, no, we're not doing that. Put your foot down and make these separations. Do you allow your kids to overrun your life? I know I don't have kids, so this is not about me telling people how to parent. This is about balance. You were an individual before you had kids. Just like you have to still get up and go to work or make some stuff shake. Same thing in your relationship. There's certain things that your kids cannot and should not do for you because you're not in a relationship with them. I said it. Drops Invisimic. Yeah, you still have to show up for yourself, even though you have other priorities that requires your involvement and your attention. You got to balance it out. Period. If you're in a relationship with someone, or you're looking at dating someone, your baby mama or your ex should not play a role in how you show up in your relationship with this new person. Know your role. Some of y'all dudes get so caught up in she's going to take my kids from me that you let her hold you by the balls and dictate what you do. And you paying her bills? I'm not speaking an untruth. There's women out there, y'all know what's going on. Y'all hear these conversations. Or you have someone that's so wrapped up in the streets that chaos is comfortable for them. You are used to destruction, and anything outside of that seems boring to you, or like it's tying you down. Besides more chaos, what you gonna get out of that? If you don't want to avoid chaos, what better is there out there? Make that make sense. You not in jail or on the block or in the gang or whatever no more. You shouldn't if we're in our 30s and upward, 40s and 50s and stuff. You got to transition, honey. Just like girls, we don't wear training bras no more. We wear real women bras. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you holding on to this baggage that you don't have to have? That's why planes got baggage limits. I mean, I'm just saying, elevators got maximum weight capacity limits. Like, Cut this weight off. So you're dealing with men like that. There's a lot of and I call them transitional men. There's a lot of transitional men here in Atlanta that are holding on to things that they have the control to close the door on, to cut the ties, or to just handle it, to where you don't have any outside people determining what's going on with your other situation. Make it make sense. Bust a move. Bust a move. What do you mean? Like, y'all roommates. What do you mean she still got stuff at the house? What do you mean y'all both still got names on the same bill? Y'all on a family plan. I promise y'all everything I love. When I have kids, my sons, nope. It ain't gonna be them. I don't care what I have to do. Helicopter mom it is. That ain't gonna be you, boo. No, absolutely not. And you shouldn't want that for yourself, especially if you have kids and your kids are watching that. Like, how do you sit with yourself? So that's one type of dude that's out there when you subtract all those other variables that I was talking about. Then you got the shiftless ones. The ones that's always making an excuse as to why they stuck in a situation and why something ain't working out for them and all. And when you look at you like, if you don't shut up and go out there and find a purpose, how we say in one of my organizations, find a focal point. Are you kidding me? So all these things are just happening to you. Just you. Okay. Yeah, nah. What are excuses? Yeah, nah, buddy. You gotta level up. You gotta put your big boy drawers on and take a step forward. Please take a step forward. You can't be an M Park dude. You can't. Knock it off. It don't look good on you. It don't. Even if you got enablers, they're not doing you no good. And you're going to keep looping in this chaos, in this weighted baggage. You're going to keep looping in that until you make a change. Things ain't going to align. No matter how much control you think you have, things are not just going to align ever so perfectly where everything is working out because everybody else then woke up and decided to get in line with what you got going on for yourself. Pimp, it ain't working. You got to bust a move and make some shake. So when you put all those variables into that pot, now what you also got to consider, mama, cover your ears, is can they satisfy you? I'm just going to let that sit there for a second. Yeah. So the Atlanta dating pool, when you are going through a bad breakup and then you try to put yourself out there, or at least know that one day you will go back out there, this is what you got to deal with. And I haven't even gotten on, do they have a job? Do they have a car? Are they an abusive person? Do they have any unhealthy addictions? Like some dudes are addicted to gambling, or they're addicted to the streets, or they are addicted to sex, or they're addicted to drugs or alcohol. Like, now what I'm not gonna do is move from Atlanta just to find a man. I'm not gonna do that. If I happen to be traveling somewhere and I meet a guy, that's one thing. But I'm not gonna base my residence on if there's men available there or not. Like, I'm not doing that, because then I'm in it for the wrong reasons. Like, nah. But it's a lot that you have to go through. Like, your relationship don't end the moment that it ends. You still got a whole bunch of emotional and situational stuff that you have to endure and keep going into battle and surviving the battle for you to heal. I'm doing that. I'm in that process now. You know, sometimes I'm interested in talking to a guy, and other times I'm like, I don't want them nowhere remotely close to me because I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I long for something that I am not even trusting enough or in the mood to entertain. Ain't that messed up? Yeah. Because I still have a heart to heal. I got to do that. I need God for that. I need my village for that. I need me for that. I need my Layla for that. And when you care about somebody so deeply, it makes the process more difficult. Yeah. Especially when you don't have no closure. You don't have no answers or anything like that. So I put it out there to anyone who can relate. I hear you. Because one, I know what it's like to feel unheard or unseen in your relationship. I know what it's like to be ghosted. I know what it's like to be abandoned. And I'm not proud to say those things. However, I am proud of myself for being able to speak on those things. I'm glad that I am in a position where I can begin to process and articulate what I'm going through. That's an essential necessity in the healing process. You have to do it. Your therapists go through that stuff too. Your doctors go through that stuff too. We are all human. We all going through or have gone through or will go through something where, you know, we feel like we've been knocked down a level or thrown off our game. Sometimes we feel like we're in a position to lose, or we're in a position to just not have any gains. Like we're just going to stay in this flat space. And even if that feels true, and even if that looks likely, once your mindset starts to amplify that glimmer of light, the work that you need for yourself so that you can be okay, it'll begin. It'll begin. Out of all of this pain and depression and sadness and feeling unsafe, feeling insecure, being angry, being disappointed, just not being okay. Out of all of that, I can honestly say I'm proud of myself for being in a position now where I'm walking in the light. I'm back into my artwork. I'm creating a space for people who have gone through what I've gone through, or to help prevent people from going through what I've gone through or am transitioning from, for you to have something that you can utilize as a resource for your life to be better. That's what makes me happy. Even though I'm solo dolo, I know the one person that ain't going nowhere is me. I know I still got God. I know I still have my real village, like my unconditionals. No matter if we fall out or whatever, or we don't like something that somebody said, or, you know, we not on the same like kind of path per se. As long as we're not doing anything to take away from each other's lives, we're, you know, because then you broke the conditions after that. But I'm glad that the people who choose to show up for me keep showing up for me. I'm glad that even though I didn't realize it at the time, I had safety in other ways, like with my dad protecting me from heaven, instilling that strength in me that I didn't know I had to pull myself out of a dark place. I'm glad I have my dog here, like really providing that emotional support. And that's something that I want to recommend when you are dealing with situations like this, or anything that just really hurts you to the core. You have to take charge on your betterment, whether that is getting into an activity that you like, acquiring an emotional support animal, or putting yourself out there around things that are familiar with you, that you can connect with, that add positivity to your life. You have to do that. You have to do that, because you sometimes may not have people show up for you when you need it. So you have to do something about that. You have to. So it is with that that I leave you with a challenge, a call to action. Do something for yourself that you've either never done or that you haven't done in a while. Sometimes nostalgia makes me happy. But do something for yourself to help you heal through whatever you're going through. I don't care what type of pain it is, or what type of circumstance it is, or even if it's not pain, if it's a predicament. But whatever it is to help you get from point A to point B, try something new. Do something that you've never done, or that you are far removed from, that worked for you in the past, to help you get to where you want to be now. You owe it to yourself. Why wait? Don't make it a New Year's resolution for 2025. Don't hold off until the springtime. Don't wait for another holiday. Don't wait until the beginning of a new month. Start now. Why not? I mean, you don't have any time to waste anyway, so take advantage of the time you have left. I thank you guys for listening to me. I hope that you were able to gain something from this. I hope that I was able to connect with someone that has gone through something similar and just didn't really know how to deal with it. It's okay. We're not gonna always have the answers that we need, even though we want them. And sometimes that's okay too. So I will be dropping another episode next week. I hope to see you there. Keep going through this journey with me. You know, we're going to get deeper and deeper on going over what really be happening out here with people. You know, you have to. We need a platform. We need something that represents us. Something that when you feel like everything is superficial in the world, you have an outlet like Talk to Tot, where you feel seen, you feel heard, you can relate and connect to it. So if y'all have any comments, tips, or suggestions for me to talk about and put out in an episode, please let me know. You can either email me at thetatianamonet@gmail.com, which there will be a link to that email in the description on the YouTube page. Otherwise, if you're listening on the podcast, there is a way for you to contact me, but it's and then Tatiana, TATYANA MONEE @gmail.com. Also, please like, share, and subscribe my videos, because I know that you know, this message needs to be heard, not just for this episode, but for all content that I put out, because I be having some real conversations with people in person and they're like, oh my God, like people need to hear this. Okay, I created the platform. Now you got to tune in. You got to grow with me. So yes, please like and subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Instagram at Tatiana Monet. You can also follow me on TikTok at Tatiana_Monet and also on Facebook as well. So you have my information. Again, comment, you know, if I don't get back to you right away, don't mind me. I'm, like I said, getting back on a previous episode, I said I'm getting back into the swing of things with putting out content. So right now I'm doing a lot of dumping from previous like stuff that I did with my artwork and stuff like that. Like I had a lot of content that I hadn't posted for a year and a half, because once my dad passed, I stopped. Like I didn't do anything. So I'm trying to dump all of that content out to free up storage on my devices. So if I haven't responded to you in regards to something, please continue to be patient with me. But I do appreciate you trying to reach out. And if you can't reach me on my social media platforms, then again, you can reach me via email. But yes, I thank you. I'm sending love your way, especially for those who don't feel like you get it anywhere else. You know, like that's something that I've learned not only through my family, but even just through my connections and stuff with my organizations and all of that stuff. You gotta love people. You gotta love people. So I'm sending love out there. I want everyone to be safe. And choose your happiness, because you can. So until next time, bye for now.